And today we will speak about aligning your idea with the fund. It's the second workshop, as Polina mentioned, out of 4 workshops. First workshop, we spoke where to look for funds, and we will catch up a little bit for those who are new, joining us today for the first time. But mostly we will speak about when you found a fund, when you found a source where you want to apply your social impact project, how to prepare, how to make your idea irresistible for the funders. So this is a focus. And with this focus promise for today, it will be a methodology which me and my team use in Mira. Every time we write a new project application for our own portfolio or for our clients, we always use this methodology, so it's proved by years, and that's why we have such high results when we get the proposals approved. Five very high approval rates, I can say. So basically, before we start, I want to remind a little bit about the social impact idea, which might be a little bit confusing, especially for technical startups, because technical startups think like, what do I do with social issues? And actually you do a lot, because I can say with like 100% conviction that any startup or any product or service which you do technically, you do it to improve the life of people, a certain group of your clients, or a certain bigger social group, but you do develop something new, totally new, or you try to improve something, some solutions which already exist. So I, for example, looked for many pitches of Ukrainian startups, both tech and non-tech, for Ukrainian startup funds, which are very fun to actually watch on YouTube, on your channel, Polina. And there, every idea I listened, that idea could be actually good, supported very well through social impact grant, which are available on for European Commission. So it's actually any grant, any idea, any product, any service can be pitched as social impact idea. And you don't need to go there only to technical, like a deep tech grants. If you're deep tech even, you can actually strengthen your deep tech solution through this money. So it's really for any startup, for any SME with the idea, because anything we do is actually for people and with people. It was my little intro. So IT doesn't leave us when they see social impact on the screen. It's actually for you too, and mostly for you. As just a couple of words about Mira Sweden. Why am I talking today and what we are doing? It's a company which is 8 years old, and this company is a professional grant company. We are working with grants and with fundraising in general. Both we help like to find right grants, to match right grants, to write winning proposals for our clients, and then it's training, it's consultancy, and then we also help to lead the projects. We have our own project managers who we can borrow to the companies to lead the projects, and also we train others. Or sometimes we go in as a partner lead. So everything about grants we know, because it's our bread, and it's people with many years of experience, including me, 18 years in this field. So let's then start. I wanted to start, before I give you all the secrets we do in order to prepare our idea for the grant proposal, I want to start a little bit to recapitulate our last workshop, especially for those who were not with us for the first time, for the first workshop, so you are a little bit in the context. So main takeaways, it can be 3 important things to remember from our first workshop. First is, what is an EU grant? Because it's a lot of funding on opportunities out there, and not all of them are grants, and certainly not all of them are EU grants. And here we are speaking about EU grant. So it's basically money given by European Commission for social improvement of any kind. So it can be grants given to tech, to medicine, to agriculture, to education, to any of these fields, but something to improve the life of European Union citizens and also our neighbors and our partners, one of them is Ukraine, is to improve the lives through money. And we talked a lot about what is grant and different between grant, for example, and investing. And we said that grant is money which you don't need to give back, and also you don't need to give away equity from your startup if you're a startup to the funders. So basically, it's money you receive because you're solving one of the issues which European Commission finds important for the European Union at the moment. So money is given for this specific target. So this money are very targeted. It's not an open call when you pitch your idea to the investor, and the investor then decides if they want or not to invest. Here, it's you who pitch your idea to a funder for a specific, which publishes on their website, and then you pitch how you solve the problem which the funder wants you to solve. So basically you pitch, but you pitch specifically, you adapt your business plan, your idea, everything for the funder to convince the funders that yes, you know the problem and your idea is really good, is really relevant to solve that issue which they want to get help with, which they want to solve. So it's very targeted money. It's very competitive because we also talked in the first workshop that it's a lot of companies and a lot of organizations, profit, non-for-profit, startups, SME, and even bigger corporations apply for the funds because, of course, it's extremely good to get this money for the development of your service or product. So it's very competitive, and it's less competitive if it's given, for example, specifically for Ukraine, because you compete only with Ukrainians. But if you apply for European Commission money, so-called centralized funds, which are for all European Union members and also some neighboring countries and partner countries, then you compete with all other organizations too. So it's very important to know this business, to know what you are doing in order to increase chances. Otherwise, it's only frustrating because it's a lot of time and effort from both a grant manager and grant writer and the all other team members and other people around it. So it's better to know what you are doing. And also we said that the third characteristic of EU grant, of a grant in general, is accountability. It's something you don't need to pay money back. It's like this money you get and they're forever yours. You spend them for implementing your solution, your idea, but you need to report back all euros which you got. You need to report, you need to provide financial report to show where you spend, where the money has gone. And also, most important, what you promise in the application, what you promise you will do, you must do. Because if your results, what you provide, are not matching your promise, then it might be, unfortunately, and it happens, the story when you need to pay back the money back to the funder. And it's always more than one evaluator who read your report and who matches like what you promised and what you've done. So already when you start to write proposal, you need to be not only convincing in your pitch, but you also need to be realistic, because you need to keep in mind that if you get this money, then everything starts, and you really need to produce exactly what you promised. So you need to be both realistic and also very concrete. So you yourself, you and your team understand what you are doing, because it's accountable money. You need to report them back and show. But it's a great opportunity if you know the business, and you see here 192 billion only for this year, and this money are channeled by European Commission to different funds in different topics. And then they are open to solve different social issues, different priorities. And when you find yours, you compete for this money, you hopefully win part of this pie, and then you are there to implement your idea. So this is about what is grant. Then I also showed you last time that it's one centralized portal where you go in and you check all those ideas. It's tech, it's medicine, it's agriculture, it's education, it's deep tech, it's light tech, it's research, it's specific funds for Ukraine, it's funds where Ukraine can be a partner, it's hundreds of funds. And every year they are partly the same, but also partly different, because every year it's analysis behind what we want to do with this money by European Commission. So when you go to the left side of this portal, to find call of proposals, you basically search, you find yours, and then you need to really find the good match technically that you are relevant for this fund. And of course, apart from this portal, there are a lot of tens or maybe hundreds of different consultants and groups. It's a Facebook groups where this or that funds are popping up because someone is working monitoring it for you and publishes in, for example, Facebook groups for education. It's many, like Erasmus Plus groups. It's very popular. You are there, and then those administrators for the groups, they write like, oh, now this call is coming, keep an eye on it, or it's a horizon call, it's for deep tech. This call for this deep tech in agriculture is coming, keep an eye on it. So there are a lot of groups, and in one of the coming workshops, we will go through those groups, and I will also show you a little bit more in detail how you find partners a little bit better. But grants, how you find grants, it's good to rely on the groups. It's good to, when you find something, someone advice, it's great to keep an eye and ears open. But if you seriously, strategically, as organization, want to integrate this money into your budget, you want to become good at it, then you need to really do it this way. You need to go and find the calls and learn to monitor and find quickly your match. It's the most certain way when you are in control and not when someone informs you about the situation. So this is EU funding and tenders portal. And when you are searching in that portal, you will see, as I said, hundreds and thousands of proposals, and we looked at it together last time, and you saw how many opportunities there are. But not all of them are for Ukraine, and not all of them for exactly your project idea, not for your service or product which you want to develop, which you want to improve. So basically now when you found this portal, you found the fund which is in your area, then you need to quickly make a scan. Is it for me? And the first thing you do when you make this scan, you look the call of proposals. They're more or less the same, and I will show you today examples of one of the calls which we in Mira submitted recently. Basically, you go there and check technical criteria. Can Ukraine apply? Can Ukraine participate? And it's always crystal clear written that Ukraine can be a partner or coordinator. Some calls are only for Ukraine, that you can apply solo, just for your for development of your agricultural app or your deep tech app in medicine. Some funds require partnership, and it's always very, very clearly described how many countries, which types of partners, who can be coordinator. It means coordinated means the one who applies the fund for all consortium partner, and who can be partner. So it's really, before you even start brainstorming your idea and thinking, you go to technicalities. It's normally the end of this call of proposals, and I showed it in the first workshop. If you didn't see, watch it. It's very practical way to quickly scan, but you go there and you read these technical requirements. If Ukraine can be there, if it's your area, topic and priority is relevant for what you do. Type of organization, sometimes it's also written if you must be profit or non-profit, if you must include governmental organization like a public organization or research institute. Everything is written there. If you feel that technically you do have all these criteria in place, and also the deadline, that it's not tomorrow, that you have at least months in order to prepare a good application. So if everything is there, fine. Then you can start thinking about your ideas, and you can start basically prepare the writing process. And today we will speak about this next step. After this technical scanning, today we will speak about this preparation of the writing process. And as a homework, before we go into that, homework, I go back to the screen. We'll see how good you are in homework, doing homework. You got a task to go to this portal and to monitor and to find the grants which are relevant for your field. If you want to share in the chat, I will be grateful who of you, if you checked and if you found something in all this amount of hundreds of grants, if you found something which you can use for your startup or for your idea, for your product or service you want to get money for. So if you want to write in the chat basically yes or no. Yes, and I see someone found Horizon for Ukrainian tech. Perfect, Rostislav. Yes, this fund I know even. We are helping some organizations to write. So this is a good fund. But someone else monitored the portal, because as I said, you can. It doesn't need to be Horizon in deep tech. Even if you're in deep tech, you can actually get money for solving a social issue with deep tech. You can apply for other funds which are not necessarily deep tech and get as much money as in deep tech. But you will promise in the project application that you're solving a social issue with your deep tech solution. So it doesn't need to be all the time this niche of deep tech. This is also what we talked about. Good. Rostislav did homework, and I'm grateful. Thank you for sharing. And let's go back then to our workshop. Good. Then Rostislav checked, obviously, that this technical criteria that yes, his startup is eligible for this fund, both because it's Ukrainian, it's relevant, obviously, Horizon Deep Tech, if Rostislav works in this area, and also it's like type of organization. It clearly says it is a startup or SME with a technical solution in a deep tech. And then you check, it's also in specifically Horizon, there also, they show like the levels, it's levels of technical readiness. And this solution or product you work with needs to be on level 4. It means that you kind of have the idea, but you can actually test it through Horizon. So it doesn't need to be a ready product. It can be a ready prototype. So if you got all these checks, then you know that you can go on and start formulating the idea. So yes, when we know that technically we are relevant, that we can go for the fund, and we found it can be Horizon, it can be AMIF, it can be all other fund. AMIF it's more like for migrants, Erasmus it's for education, CREA is for culture. It's in whatever area you are, you find agriculture, but you found your fund basically, and you see that technically it's nothing wrong with this fund for us. It's suitable for us. We can apply. Here, the next step, you need to really clearly identify your idea. So what you propose as a solution here, it needs to be really aligned with founders' core objective. That your idea, it's really here is very big mistake which many new grant writers do. As soon as they see that technically they are suitable, they start writing. And this is where you fail, because it becomes elephant on a clay legs. It's a huge elephant body, and these clay legs then don't manage the body. Then elephant will always fall down, and exactly that's why projects don't go through, because most often the idea is badly adapted, is badly aligned with the grant. It's badly aligned with what funders want you to do. And today we will make, this is actually preparatory step to align your idea. And after this, writing in itself is an easy story. Then you just write. But this alignment, this is where you really need to work. And not only you, it needs to be several people included in order to make this job good. And today, now I will share with you exactly methodology in Mira, what we do. And we just recently submitted a proposal for AMI, for Ukrainian migrant women in Europe, and integration in the labor market. So basically, recently, we exactly did all these steps. We knew that we work with women, and we wanted to to continue to further develop our products and services in this area. And we saw this AMI fund, which was exactly published at the beginning of summer with deadline in October, to help women. So what we did to start with, we worked on our idea very hard for several weeks, actually, before we started even to write our project application. So this technical step, when we checked that we are eligible, that we are relevant, it took only a couple of hours. Preparation, it took us, took almost a month until we landed in the idea we were happy to proceed with. And then the writing itself, it took a couple of weeks. So this step was the biggest for us, even though we have experienced in the field. So what we do concretely, we use in this step so-called theory of change. And I know that many of you know theory of change because it's widely used for startups, like to formulate your pitches. And also theory of change in project management is used a lot. When you basically describe your working plan, when you write your project application, when you know what you write it many times according to the theory of change. Its objective, its action plan, its expected results, and its budget. You basically show in your objectives and results what you want to change, and this is why it's theory of change. And then when evaluator reads, they also read according to the theory of change. They see, did you make this shift? Did you make this change which you promised? And here, where we work the most, we adapted in Mira theory of change for grant writing also. It's not so common, but we work a lot with theory and change already in this preparatory step. Then the writing is easy, and then the much higher chances to get our ideas through. And then the projects are so concrete and well formulated that it's all never a problem. We never needed to pay money back because it's always good proposals with good concrete plans. So theory of change is basically for grant writing, how we adapted it. It's 3 steps. First of all, the first step, we always saw we need to focus on a problem, on this core problem. We need to understand this core issue we are solving, why it is a problem. Why it is a problem still. Why migrant women not having job in Sweden and in other European countries, why it's a social issue, why it's a problem. Why veterans of war in Ukraine coming back home and it's hard to reintegrate, or they need also psychological help. Why it's a problem. So you need to really dig very deep. Why it's a problem, why you need to solve it. It's first step. Second step, when you know what you are looking for, you need to collect all information which is out there in order to prepare for your application and in order to formulate your project idea, to formulate your problem. And you can ask thousands of questions, but I propose to ask these 3 main questions. Who are your target group? For whom? Whose problem it is? Whose need are you solving concretely? Obviously, by having your product or your service, you're not solving anything for you. You're not doing it because you want to become rich or you want to build a unicorn. At least it shouldn't be your only reason why you're working. You need to have a mission. You need to have a vision. Who are your target group? For whom are you making this vision? If, for example, you are a startup building a new marketing solution for people who are not marketing people, like for people like me who are basically having a small business and need to market our services, and I know nothing about that. So basically, probably one of you is building a platform where I can easily register and build all these visuals, all these messages, and this platform will help me basically to market my service in a social media in an easy way, so I don't need to be an expert, or build my website so I don't need to be an expert, basically a solution. So it doesn't matter what solution, but I am your target group. I am a small and medium-sized owner who need this help. So you target me and you want to solve one of my problem, my need. And my problem, my need is that my time and money is limited. I can't have a big staff of marketing people or IT. Maybe I don't have money or I don't have time for that. So I need something quick, easy, but professional. So it really drives my business forward. So even though it's a pure technical solution and it's a pure business solution, but it has a huge social value because I'm a woman. I have my startup for this social issue, and you are helping the whole category of women like me who need this solution in order to progress quickly. So it's a huge social mission behind this business idea. So, and if you want to get money, if you want to get grant, you need to think in those categories. You need to think not how much money you will earn and all this, but you need to think who is my target group and what problem am I solving for them. And also, most important, what are your existing solutions? Who is your competition? And it's not only competition, what are solutions in the market for these women? In this world, in a grant world, you need to see what has been done already for these women in this via grants, via other projects, because obviously you are not the first one who is helping these women to solve this problem. You need to see who has done something similar, what have they missed, what gaps are still there, and then you target those gaps. You don't start over because those who read, if you do not collect information here, you just propose a solution from your, like, I want this. I want for these women, I want to collect this. But then if I read it, I know what has been done in the field. I know the projects which have been done before if I'm evaluator. So I will not choose your solution because I know, this platform has been already done and they're working well, or they don't work, but this project doesn't solve that problem anyway. So you need to really dig deep and collect information, what is already there. And the third step, then when you have collected all this information about who are your target group, what are their needs, and what has been done in the field, you need to package all this information. You need to analyze all that information in one common workshop, which is called Map Theory of Change, where you invite your stakeholders for whom you are doing it and other relevant people, and then you together make this analysis, and you together look this from this problem and all different solutions from different perspectives, and you find this little golden core which someone misses, which is still a problem, which is still causing this pain somewhere, and you solve this. And this helps you, these three steps, they help you to narrow your problem to something very concrete. And it will help you to narrow your service or product to something very concrete and offer this solution to the funder. If you don't do this, I'm 100% sure you read the call for proposals. It says women in SME, they don't have enough of marketing solutions, they need help. Then you will offer something, you will basically offer what you do in a very general terms, and then it will be too big or too general or something which has been already done. So then you will not convince your funders. You really need to make these three steps to narrow your problem. So this is the whole secret between winning proposal and those which don't win. Even if you use ChatGPT and you write the most beautiful text, but the main problem, you don't solve that social issue which you promised to solve. You do not solve because you don't know the need, or your solution is too broad. And we will come back to most common mistakes in which grant writers do at this step when they do not prepare concretely. So basically, now I want to show you a little bit more in detail with some cases, these three steps, how we do these three steps, how we implement theory of change in Mira. And as this workshop is quite short, we can't do actually what we do in practice when we train in our coaching training workshops, then we really train this. So you need to get it in your fingers. You need to do it yourself at least a couple of times in order to become good at it, as with anything else. But here I will lead you step by step, and you can try with your team exactly following these steps, because what I will, without filters, basically share exactly how we do. And please apply it and try in the next when you apply for the next grant, and you will see the difference. So first step, as we said, is there are three steps. First step, clarify the what and why. When you found this grant which is suitable for you, and then you will find this basically priority. Let me show you in practice. You found this fund. Yeah, this fund is AMIF. It's for migrants, to basically supporting internal migrants in Ukraine or external migrants in European Union with social integration and integration to the labor market. And what we do, we work a lot, me and my partners, we work a lot with matching services when we help especially women to find employment. So basically this grant is for us. This little we knew, and we know that, okay, let's try to see if it's something for us. And we found this call. It's different priorities. It's in this grant. One of them was health, one of them was improving digital skills among migrants, one of them was pathways to education. But it's not interesting because we don't work with health or with digital skills. But what we work with, we work with migrant women and their social and economic integration. So basically, when this call was out, we read exactly this. We read this. Topic one about women, and it was focused on Ukrainian women. So this grant gave us exact directly like priorities, what they want to develop. They want transnational project. They want tailor-made support for women in order to ensure the integration in the labor market, because it's high percentage of women who have extreme difficulties to find the job in European Union, despite the fact that all Ukrainian women who are in Sweden are highly educated with technical or academic education and huge work experience, but still it's hard to find jobs. So here this fund is really solving that. This is what Commission wants to solve, and that's why they publish this call. So they want to develop targeted measures to include women in the labor market. They want to develop for the whole family, so it's suitable in their life situations, because many women who live here, they come without a partner, because partners are not allowed to leave the country because of the war. Empower women with special vulnerabilities, with war trauma, and also it's a long term. They don't want something quick fixes, they want something long term. So basically, knowing this and also activities, they write exactly what they want. They want one of those. They want awareness rising, they want integrated approaches to like work, life, education, reskilling, something like holistic solution, mentoring approaches, and they also wanted to include public officials and professionals. So basically, when we read that, this is what we read, and then we started to basically dig deeper according to our change theory of change. We're like, why is it still a problem? What is the problem? What is exact need? It's not like Ukrainian women are coming without education, so you need to educate them. It's not that they don't come, they know how to work, because all of them come with experience, because all Ukrainian women work. It's hardly someone who is sitting at home without work experience. So we needed to dig deeper why it's a problem. So when we digged, we analyzed that the biggest problem is that employers, that it's labor market who is not so open to give the chance. It's not, the problem is not women, the problem was structure. And then we started to, when we saw the need after all this analysis, how to address it. Yeah, you can, information how to address it, it's been a lot done, informing employers about how great they are, how great workforce they are, but still all those solutions don't work. So basically, we made this first estimation. We identified a clear need that they still, despite all the measures the government has taken, still these women are unemployed. And its problem is being addressed from different perspectives, with regulations, with policies, with training schemes, with money to employer subsidies. Still, it didn't solve the problem. So this is, we understood like really clearly, yes, this is still a problem. We understand that what has been done not before. Nobody solved this key issues. Nobody actually convinced, nobody made sure that employers open their door and let the women in. Nobody done this, despite of all the solutions which are out there, and there are thousands, not hundreds. Here it's another example case for this, for example, psychological support for Ukrainian veterans. I know that now it's a big issue in Ukraine, and it's a lot of money available out there, both tech and non-tech, which tech can apply for. But basically, this is the core issue, which many calls, they are very specifically say the mental health and mental health of some most vulnerable groups with PTSD, and it's people influenced by wars, families, and also veterans. They are one of the most vulnerable groups, and mental health is the problem which European Union wants to get help with. So they publish this call. You need to see why it's still a problem, and despite of all the solutions out there, it's still a problem because it's a growing veteran population in Ukraine. It's a lot, it's a massive support needed. So it's basically, if we are not doing anything about that, it's mental health crisis. It's also hard to reintegrate economically, and it's also leading to social stigma and isolation. So basically, it's a lot of problems, and it's different calls which want to attract this or that problem. So you can, if you work with this issue in any way, you can apply for several grants. You can approach it as mental health, as social integration, as educational professionals, but you really need to understand why, what are you solving and why. And then I put it in big letters, it's a lot which has been done. So you are not the first one. If you're working with this issue, you're definitely not the first one. It's a lot of many non-governmental organizations and educational authorities, government programs. It's a lot which is out there, but still something is lacking. Still the problem is growing, and it's there. And that's why you need to find fund which can help you to test your solution. In order to, if you have a unique solution, you really need to go for it and get money for chipping in to solve this problem. And yeah, you don't need to raise more money than get this money from European Union. So basically, when you made this what and why analysis, you will see probably that still in all this ocean of solution which is offered, programs and psychological support and everything, probably it's a lack of peer-to-peer support, or it's insufficient long-term support. Maybe it's only first help when they come back, but nothing long-term. But you really need to make an analysis here of how you can adapt your solution, your product, to what is already existing and to the specific needs of veterans in this case. I want you to stop here for a minute and think about your service or about your product, whatever you work with, and think a little bit now. For 1 minute, we can think what you want to solve, why you focus on this problem, why you're obsessed with this problem, why you're working with this problem as a startup, and why you want to work with this problem in a social impact fund, be a social impact fund. And also, what are you bringing which has not been done before? And what are you bringing if maybe you have totally something new, which nothing, maybe peer-to-peer digital, those groups maybe don't exist at all. There is maybe no digital platform, so it will be totally new solution, a digital solution for this. Or if there are already digital platforms for veteran, for peer-to-peer support, why are they not working? And you find a little flow there, and this what you are going to solve, this little problem, not building a new digital platform, but something which is not being solved with existing platforms. So basically, think about 1 minute, reflect before we go on to the next step. I'm not asking you to share it in the chat because sometimes people are afraid to share brilliant ideas and brilliant problem descriptions. So you can do it only for you and for your team. Good. Almost 1 minute. I want to continue in order to have also time for questions. So when you have answered this question, exactly what problem you are focusing, then it's time to collect information about this problem, information about needs and about what is out there. And you can collect information in many different ways, or you sometimes people don't collect information at all, they just write what they feel from their heart. And it's two extremes, like when you collect too much and you don't know what to do with it, or you don't collect at all. These are two extremes which are recipe for disaster. The truth and the method is somewhere in the middle. I will give you the most common ways where how you can collect and what type of information to collect for EU grants. And this is which are used by all grant writers in this or that degree, but you don't need to collect more and you don't need to use other methods if you don't want. This is more than enough in order to have good information, relevant information, which will help you to formulate your problem, aligning with funders' idea, with funders' objective. So first method is desk research. Before you start even to talk to your team, if you're a grant writer, to your startup like founders, to your director if it's SME, to your beneficiaries, stakeholders, to your audience, target audiences. You need to research what's already in the field, to make this basically through Google, to check the reports which are available for this problem, for this exact problem which you identify, not for everything between heaven and earth for veteran or for migrant women, but for that specific what you want to identify. So you research around this specific problem. There are reports, there are policies, policy recommendations by policymakers, and there is statistics, national and European, how it depends which project you write. So these three you need to check and you need to analyze, and it will give you very good pictures what has been done already, which statistic, if it will show you the scope of this problem. For example, how many veterans are in Ukraine? Is it a growing problem which will have high risk if you don't solve, or if it's just problem right now but it's not a growing problem, probably it's not worth to solve exactly like this. So and all the reports, all the policies which show to the direction what researchers and policymakers see the direction where they see the problem. So basically, then you will see very concretely trends, statistics, which is there, and you will place your problem and your solution in a very concrete context, and you will be then very concrete when you formulate your problem and your solution, and you will be very concrete in your actions, and then you will do a project which will really make a difference and not just something which give you money but no social impact. So desk research is number one. Number two, previous projects. I always, when I start writing, I always check for the same fund 3 years back, which everything which has been done, and I see what those projects proposed. Normally, all the projects which have been approved, they are in the funder's website. So I go to the website, to the previous project, funded projects this year, last year, and 2 years before, and I check everything which has been done. I check solutions. If they publish, I go and check what they have offered. And then I see, like, yes, they all, for example, work for migrant women. They all these projects which are out there when we did this desk research and checked previous project for AMIF, for migrant women and labor market integration. 95% of projects which have been done, they were projects for migrant women. like to give education to them, to give consultancy to them, to give mentorship to them, to give coaching support to them. So it was everything was, it's a massive focus, millions of euro on helping women. It was just very few, like 3 4 projects for employers. And what this project were about, it's informative, basically to tell employers that this group exists and raise their motivation. Some of the projects were about not discriminate. You cannot discriminate women because it's you need by law to give job to everyone. So basically, I checked this field very clearly, what's out there, and I saw very clear gap that nobody worked with actually helping employer to take this workforce and make it as a business opportunity. The issue of trust from employers' side was not solved anywhere. Like employers are always like passive recipients, like you have to do this is information. They're never active subjects of any project. So this is where I saw the opportunity for us, for our AMIF, and this is where we wrote, this is where we focus. So previous project is important. And then, of course, you need to insights. Statistics reports, great. Previous project, great. But insights of, first of all, group, your clients, your audience, you need to ask them, what are you need? What are you solving? So basically, most of you are startups. You ask always your client, you do this mom test, hopefully, when you build the product together with your audience. This is exactly the same when you build project proposal. You ask them, the audience. And these are the 3 steps: desk research, previous project, asking audience. When you have collected information, when you have validated your idea, initial idea, through this machinery, believe me, you will end up in a much, much more concrete and clear vision. What is your problem? And what is your solution? And your solution will be not huge, that I will solve all the world's, for all poor people, I will solve for them everything with my project. You will really be so focused on this very concrete trust, not trust of employers. Only trust we will solve, because nobody solved that before. We will show that this is business opportunity for you and you can trust this target group, this little one. And by focusing to this, then you have the golden idea which everyone wants suddenly to finance. And now it's only to write this down. And this is what we will do in the next workshop, how you write down, how you convince on paper. But basically, without this, you can't convince anything if you're yourself not convinced. So these are the questions which you can ask yourself. It's like a little bit extra help, which when we train grant writers, these are the questions which you need to think when you think about theory of change. When you need to collect information. You can just read them and think about your idea a little bit and your problem, what problem you're solving, what need you're solving, and your solution. Validate it a little bit according to these questions. Thank you. We move on. You will get this presentation so you can then come, sit and because this one is not, it's not 1 minute exercise. You really need to think here and do this research in order to answer these questions. It's just, I'm here to share the methodology during this 1 hour, but to do it in practice, it's not possible in this format. But basically 2 steps which I have described when we validate the idea, when we align the idea, when you align your service or product with funders' objective, with funders' priority. The first 2 steps is to be super clear, what am I solving and why am I solving, step 1, and you can think it for yourself. But then step two, you collect information through desk research, you check previous projects, and you check with your audience, with your final beneficiaries, and all those relevant stakeholders and your team, your partners, depends on, it's very individual. And then you collect all this very specific information. And when you have this information, when you have a clear idea, now it's time for the third and final step before you're ready to put all this on paper. The third and final step is map your theory of change. Basically, the third and final step is to analyze your information, because it's not a lack of information out there, especially now when ChatGPT is getting smarter and smarter, and it gives you sources, it gives you like potential formulations. But it needs to be human. The human, you need to make this analysis behind yourself, because there is no tool yet, no artificial intelligence which can make this analysis for you. I'm sure this will be soon tools which will make technical match and will help you quickly find the correct fund, but make this preparatory step. It will be, I think, several years until we are there. So the third and final step is analyze information, what you have collected, to validate your idea, to align your idea with the founder's idea, to see that you are in sync, that you are synchronized. And there are seven steps here. This is a methodology, and you need to follow these steps. And this is an exercise which I again will demonstrate quickly based on AMIF proposal for women, which we have just submitted. So I will partly share our business secret, our golden idea, which we identified, the theory. But theory and idea is nothing if you can't write it down. So I'm not afraid. I'm sharing it happily with you. But I will show how we used these seven steps in a theory of change to validate our idea and to have a crystal clear alignment with the fund. And this methodology you will get received then from Paulina, and you can yourself do it the same with your idea, basically. So let me in practice show. And this case study, it's our own project Trust Accelerator, which was submitted to AMIF. So here is this tree, which we created. So when the idea with me and one more partner in Norway, when we saw this call, when we saw this idea, we saw that nobody worked with actually employers seriously. Everything was done massively on women, and it's a lot of what was done for employers. It's pure information or motivation, but nothing of that helps. So this basically problem, this we copied from the proposal, from the call of proposal, which I show you. This problem prevails. It's still there, despite of all these hundreds of projects implemented, despite of all these solutions, this problem is still there. So what we did, me and my partners, we invited then stakeholders, we invited women, we invited entrepreneurs, we invited people working with employment, we invited different stakeholders, which our research 3 steps showed we need to involve. And we made 2 hours online workshop where we analyzed all information and all our experience and knowledge in order to land in this one brilliant idea, which with an 1 million idea, which we then put on paper as the next step. So this problem, we always start with the middle of the tree where we put the problem. And this problem, migrant women face limited access to employment and entrepreneurship. And it leads to economic insecurity and exclusion. And this is so true in terms of Europe and migrants. And I'm sure that there are several calls, like for Ukrainian veterans, for Ukrainian internally displaced people coming between regions. So this problem with displaced population or population which have been away from the labor market for a while, to come back is not easy. So this call was specifically for this group, migrant women. So we just copied from the call for proposals. Then we checked effects. what is this problem leading to? It leads to, if we are not solving it, and what we are seeing despite of all those solutions, the effects that nobody solved that problem yet, the effects are massive. It's high unemployment among women. It's economic dependency and vulnerability, which means that these countries which invite refugees, they pay money to sustain refugees because they are not welcome to work, so they have no way out. They need to be dependent on state support. So basically, it's economic dependency for women. It's more money for the governments who submit. It's more hostility in the societies which accept, because it's like all these questions about how that migrants take our jobs, that migrants take our money. Its underrepresentation is business, it's a man's field. It's reduced integration and social participation, it's worse health. So here I took just some examples, but effects of this problem not being solved, they are many. We identified probably 15 effects. So it's a set of huge problems if we don't solve it, effects, results of this. Then we did what we did as a next step. If we manage to turn these problems, these effects, negative effects, to positive effects, what will the situation will be then? And then basically you mirror what was negative, you write it as positive. And then you say that migrant women successfully start and grow their business. They are more independent. The society is more willing to accept more refugees and support because they see that extreme value and paying taxes and everything. It's more women in leadership position. They're strongly integrated. It's better psychological health, mental health of women. They're better margins. So it's like if you turn negative to positive, you do this because you do this for one reason, because this is what sponsors want you to write them in the application. The funders want you to show your problem. If you don't solve it, what are the consequences? And they are writing the consequences themselves many times. And also they want you to draw your vision, your bigger picture. If those consequences, negative, are solved through your solution, what will be the positive effects? And then we did negative effects. If we integrate our solution, it will be positive effects. You do this exercise. So you see the vision, mission. Basically, this will give you problem in your project. Those who are grant writers here in this group, they will understand that you start here, you start with this is a problem in the project application. This is a priority. This problem is not solved. These are the effects. And normally here you show all the statistics, reports. Basically, you show all the consequences, all this negativity which come out because this problem still exists. And then you turn to mission vision by our project, which is called here Trust Accelerator. We will turn this negative to this positive by our solution. So basically, it's called in the project application general objective or project mission or project's vision. So you draw this bigger picture with big brushes. You draw the effects if you solve for society and for women. The next step, what we did in this workshop, causes to the problem. When you speak about causes to the problem, it's really not as easy black and white. It's like women's problem because they are not motivated or they don't have enough education. And it's not like all employers are just racist or sexist who just don't want women or don't want Ukrainian women. It's really not like that. You really need to identify real causes. It's some of them I put here as examples from our workshop with my partners. It was lack of access to business networks. Women come, they are not connected, they don't know anything, they don't have any people they can turn to. So this lack of access is one of very big problems. Another problem is limited knowledge of local business. They don't know how it works. They don't know legislation. They don't know the system. You hardly know it as a startup in Ukraine when you start. And when you move to Sweden or Germany, you know it even less because you're in a new country. It's language barriers. And here we don't see it because it's covered by my computer. But the last cause of problem was lack of trust by employers. It's lack of trust because even or lack of trust by investors. But even if you go through all these hardships as a woman, you find information, you learn language, you try to build and to understand and build your network. Basically, lack of trust from the other side, those who need to stretch their hand and become your partners, if it's not there, little will happen. So basically, lack of trust, according to our analysis, was the biggest cause of this whole of problem of migrant women with limited access, which was with all these huge effects for women and society. So when we analyzed all these problems from all different perspectives and including women themselves, Ukrainian women in Sweden and other European countries, then we had our solid problem analysis, which we also transformed that in application with statistics and arguments and everything and insights from women, which is extremely important. And the fourth step, we turn, if we solve this problem, we made an analysis, what will be exact positive effects? What we turn negative causes to positive causes. And if the problem was a lack of access to finance and business network, we want to say that we will provide access to funding and mentorship network, we will solve this. So basically, it becomes your specific objective of your project. If the problem was limited knowledge of local business laws and systems, then you turn it to positive. You need to deliver how to solve this problem, deliver tailored training in business language and skill. If it's lack of trust, you need to build up a system in order to mend this trust. So basically, we make this exercise because those of us who are sitting in this group who are grant writers, you know that you need to identify general objective, which is this. When you analyze effects and you turn them to something positive, it becomes vision or general objective of your application. It's in every application the same. If you analyze the concrete problems and turn them to positive, here you identify concrete, so-called specific objectives of your project. So basically, you prepared the basis for your writing. Then you just need to write all that down. And of course, you need to make sure when you did these 4 steps, so you will have a clear objective, you will have clear general objective, specific objective, the problem you are solving, and also effects, what will become the effects of the whole your action, your project idea. So in this way, you align really, really with what you want to do, with what funders is willing to give money for to solve this problem, but then you will land in the super concrete solution, which is really needed by all these groups, and all these experts will also give their perspective. And then you will give solution which is built on everything which has been done before, and you will offer something concrete. You will only solve little gap. So this trust accelerator, when we did this analysis and we formulated all this. So basically, what we will offer tech solution. We will offer tech. We will build a European headhunting platform where we will match women, migrant women, through this project with employers by solving the issue of trust. Concretely, the project will test the idea that women who will enter the platform will be experts who will be putting their expertise area like marketing, finances, project management, IT. They will be categorized their skills in the areas, and employers will enter this platform in search for solving their concrete tasks. And it will be small employers who don't have money to buy huge consultancy. So it will be a cheap platform which will be provided by human service, by human women, these women who will help employers with like marketing strategy, business plan, or a financial report, or whatever. It will be like categorized and devised, and then what we are solving here, as employers will match these experts through this platform and pay for exact concrete tasks, and they will see the efficiency of this workforce. They will see how quickly and professionally they solve the tasks First of all, women will generate income to that. It's not a bluff, they will come and earn money. And at the same time, they will increase by far their chances to get employed or to become expert on a permanent basis somewhere, because Swedish employers, they do not employ because they're afraid. It's a little money, it's a limited budget if you're a small company and you don't want to take in a person if you don't know, especially from another country, you're afraid. So through this platform, you will test this expert. You will give a couple of tasks and then you will say, hallelujah, this woman is efficient in marketing, she's great, and I then you will offer the job or you will offer some other kind of partnership, or some other women will build network. Women will build understanding about Swedish business, about Swedish entrepreneurs, what they're looking. So basically it will increase their chances by far to get employed or to start their own business. So basically, if you zoom out, you are sitting here, you're tech entrepreneurs. What we want, and it's been our now dream for a couple of years, to build a headhunting digital solution which will match talent with a need. So it's a purely business solution. But when we made this exercise and we for this fund, we will start this solution for exactly these women, and then we will develop a prototype. We will test. We will market it. We will make all product market fit. We will do everything through this project through these 3 years. When we get funding, we will get approximately 5 million or 7 million euro. I don't remember for this. So we will test and we will come out with a working prototype, market fit, and already established solution. And then for us, it's only to continue to develop this business to other groups or to this group, we'll see. But this is how I wanted to show how we fit from my perspective, because I work with acceleration and work helping entrepreneurs and helping women. So this is how I fit my product and my services to a fund, and how I transform the purely business idea, because it will be a membership platform and we will earn money on this, but how we turn this business idea into a social project idea, social impact idea, sorry. So now you know our solution, and you know that we submitted it for a couple of weeks ago, and we are waiting for results we will receive in a couple of months. So this is how you work with this. And when you have answered all these questions, basically you have ready material and structured information for your application. Then you open the application form and you start to fill in this data. Then you need just to write it down. And I will show you some tricks and tips how to write in a good, convincing way, how to write down your pitch. But what I want to strengthen, and I said it 1,000 times this workshop, and I want to repeat again when I'm finishing, it's not, if you don't know what to write, if you have not landed in something concrete aligned to this fund, then you will write down something very general, and then then you throw away your time and efforts, which we already don't have, we who work with them, businesses. We don't have this money, but we don't have this time to spend. So you will have these 7 steps. So your homework can be, if you have identified the fund, if not, go to the portal, find one fund which is suitable for you, and please do this exercise when you collect the information and structure it in the right way. And then you will land into something very concrete. You will understand from which angle you want to show your product, your service, or your idea, that it's aligned to the funder. So it's your homework. And yes, we will go to am I doing? Sorry. It's a lot of flying around. Yes, so just to summarize, that the biggest problem is not that people can't write. Basically, project application is nothing else than a questionnaire. You feel there is question and you need to fill answer. Question: what is the problem you are solving? Who is your target group? What is your general objective mission? What is your specific objective. What is your plan? What is your budget? What is your expertise? It's really not so big difference from pitching to investors. But in order to land there, to start writing, this exercise is a must. This step is a must. Because the biggest pitfalls in grant writing, which I've seen in my 18 plus almost 20 years, it's when grant writers jump too quickly. They see the call, they start writing like, oh, I want to solve this problem and my solution. They don't do this analysis, then it becomes too general, or someone already done something before, so it's not valid, it's not aligned. The funder will be not interested to give money, basically. Then you're very badly prepared with your pitch. Lack of clarity. If you don't do this step, you are not yourself clear in your head what you are doing. This I can promise you with 100%. After writing hundreds of applications, if I don't do this step, I myself, when I write down, I don't understand what I'm writing. I just write something, but I don't know it's hard to formulate the plan, concrete actions, to divide the job between partners, and to develop budget if you are not clear in your head with your idea to that level, to that detailed degree. Or this was two. Three, trying to do too much. I have to say that during my 6 years as evaluator of social impact ideas and 18 years as grant writer, it's almost never, not maybe once or twice, I've seen a project which promised too little. This is never a problem. It's always promising too much. It's really, you want to solve, like if you want to solve poverty in Africa, then I want to solve poverty. But be realistic. It's 2 year project with 200,000 in euro. How can you solve the whole poverty? Or how can you make all children who are homeless, how can you find home for them? Or how can you help all migrant women to solve all their issues? Or how can you help veterans of war to feel good and integrated and find job? And so really you need, it's always over promising, and this is the biggest pitfall in my understanding. You need to narrow it down to a very concrete promise, not to fail. And also insufficient planning. You promise something, you write action plan, but it's very hard to work with that plan, and it's very hard to follow. So most probably you will not get this such a project, but even if you get, it's extremely hard to work on that, and it's frustration and it's bad result and risk to paying money back. So please don't skip this step. This is my urge to you. And one last, I know it's very intensive for you to listen. It's little interaction today because I really didn't know how to interact more, as it's more information from my side. I want to finish by saying that a little advertisement that Mira will start in November, hands-on workshop with grant writers. It's really important. Those who write grants in organizations, this is a workshop for them. So it will be at it max 7, 8 grant writers in this training in this school, and we will teach how to write according to our methodology, theory of change, lean, and how to make all this analysis. And this is so little group because it will be coaching training, when we will each grant writer will develop a concrete will write a concrete proposal. So you enter with an idea, we will identify a fund, and when you leave this training, at the end of the training, it's competence development, but also it's a ready application to submit to a concrete fund which is relevant for your idea. So basically we will do it together, and it's also consultation when we will go one-on-one with the grant writer, and both when it comes to idea, we will read and give feedback, and also about personal grant writing skills. So if you're interested, if someone who is grant writer, I'm repeating, not a general manager who wants just to have a clue, please join. It will be very fun to work, and we will do it in Ukrainian as well to make it more accessible. And here is also our newsletter. it's every week we send a newsletter with funding opportunities, with grant opportunities, and with advice, and like both how to write grants, how to lead projects, how to find partners. And it's like everything which we collect in these sessions, which we're training, we try to answer through a very hands-on newsletter. So if you want to join our training, our fundraise school, you can go to this wait list and fill in the form and see if you are eligible for this training, and then we will contact you and see if you are part of a group, and you can go through when you receive this presentation from Paulina. And this newsletter, if just you can just quickly scan this, and then it's free of charge, sharing advice. This newsletter I write myself, so it's really built on reality and hands-on, no water. That's it.